Georgia is not a country that loudly demands attention. Instead, it quietly exists at one of the most fascinating crossroads on Earth. Located in the Caucasus region, Georgia stands at the blurred boundary between Europe and Asia, a land shaped by mountains, seas, and centuries of passing civilizations. This is not merely a place on the map. It is a threshold, a meeting point, where worlds have collided and intertwined. To the west, Georgia opens itself to the Black Sea, a coastline that has connected the country to ancient trade routes, maritime cultures, and distant empires for thousands of years. To the south lie Turkey and Armenia, to the east Azerbaijan, and to the north, Russia, a powerful neighbor whose shadow has long influenced Georgia's history and geopolitics. Few countries sit so precisely at the center of competing spheres of influence, and fewer still have managed to survive with their identity intact. Covering an area of roughly 70,000 square kilometers, Georgia may appear modest in size, yet its geographical diversity is astonishing. Towering Caucasus mountains rise in the north, fertile valleys stretch across the heart of the country, and coastal plains meet the sea in the west. Within a single journey, landscapes can shift dramatically, as if multiple countries were compressed into one. With a population of around 4 million people, Georgia feels intimate rather than crowded. This smaller population has allowed traditions, customs, and local ways of life to remain deeply rooted. Villages, towns, and cities still carry distinct regional characters, shaped by geography as much as by history. Among the nations of the Caucasus, Georgia is often regarded as one of the most distinctive representatives of the region. It embodies the spirit of the Caucasus, resilient, complex, and deeply layered. Standing between continents, cultures, and empires, Georgia does not simply belong to one world. It exists in between, shaped by tension, beauty, and endurance. And perhaps that is what makes Georgia so compelling. It is not a destination that reveals itself instantly. It invites curiosity, rewards patience, and slowly draws you into a journey where geography is only the beginning, and every road seems to lead deeper into a story still unfolding. Before we move on to the next chapter of this journey, take a moment right here. If this story has sparked your curiosity, if Georgia already feels like more than just a place on the map, then pause, like this video, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what comes next. Because in the next part, we won't just talk about geography anymore. We'll step deeper into Georgia's complex territories, its autonomous regions, and the hidden tensions that still shape the country today. Places most travelers never understand. Stories rarely explained in travel documentaries. Stay with me. The journey into Georgia is only beginning, and the most unexpected chapters are still ahead. As promised, we now move beyond geography and into the deeper layers of Georgia's reality. A country whose borders on the map do not always reflect the full complexity on the ground. Understanding Georgia means understanding its territorial structure, its autonomous regions, and the quiet tensions that continue to shape everyday life. Within Georgia's internationally recognized borders, there are three key autonomous regions: Abkhazia, South Ossetia, and Adjara. Each tells a very different story. Abkhazia lies in the northwest, along the Black Sea coast. South Ossetia is located in the northern interior, close to the Russian border. Both regions are politically sensitive, with unresolved status and limited recognition, making them some of the most complicated areas in the Caucasus. These territories are not just lines on a map. They represent frozen conflicts, historical wounds, and unanswered questions about sovereignty. In contrast, Adjara offers a completely different atmosphere. Located in the southwest, Adjara is a fully functioning autonomous republic within Georgia. Its capital, Batumi, has transformed into a glittering Black Sea destination, often described as the casino city of the region. Neon lights, luxury hotels, and gambling halls dominate its skyline, turning Batumi into both a tourist magnet and a major contributor to Georgia's economy. Away from the coast, in the southern interior of the country, lies the capital, Tbilisi. This is the political, cultural, and emotional heart of the nation. Tbilisi is where Georgia's contrasts are most visible. Ancient churches beside Soviet blocks, modern glass bridges crossing old stone neighborhoods. It is here that the country's past, present, and future collide daily. Locally, Georgia is not even called Georgia. In its own language, the country is known as Sakartvelo, a name deeply tied to identity, heritage, and belonging. To say Sakartvelo is to speak from within the culture, not as an outsider. Together, these regions reveal a country that is unified, yet layered with complexity. Georgia is not a simple shape on the map. It is a living mosaic, fragile in places, vibrant in others, where every border carries a story, and every region pulls you further into a journey that grows more intense the deeper you go. To truly understand why Georgia's borders feel fragile and its regions so emotionally charged, we must step backward, far beyond modern politics, into the deep roots of its history. Long before today's conflicts and autonomous territories existed, this land was already shaping a strong and stubborn identity. The origins of the Georgian people are traced to two ancient kingdoms, Caucasus and Iberia. Caucasus ruled the western coastal lands along the Black Sea, a region tied to myth, trade, and maritime culture. Iberia, on the other hand, controlled the interior and eastern highlands, stretching influence deep into what are now parts of Turkey, Armenia, and Azerbaijan. These early kingdoms laid the cultural and political foundations of Georgia, long before the idea of modern borders ever appeared. Because of its strategic location, Georgia never existed in isolation. It became a prize. Over the centuries, powerful empires passed through, ruled, and fought over this land. The Byzantines and Arab caliphates clashed here in the early medieval period. Later, the Ottoman Empire pressed from the south and west, while Tsarist Russia expanded from the north. Each empire left marks in architecture, religion, language, and warfare. Yet none fully erased what came before. In the late 19th century, Georgia was absorbed into the Russian Empire and later became part of the Soviet Union. For decades, Georgian identity was compressed under a larger ideological system. Traditions were controlled, borders were redrawn, and history was filtered through Soviet narratives. Yet even during this period, Georgia never fully dissolved into the system. Its language survived, its customs endured, its sense of self remained quietly intact. Finally, on the 9th of April 1991, Georgia regained its independence. But freedom came with unresolved wounds, territorial disputes, political pressure, and the lingering influence of powerful neighbors. Still, what is remarkable is not how many times Georgia was ruled, but how little it was erased. Despite centuries of occupation and control, Georgia preserved its culture, memory, and identity. This resilience explains everything we see today, from its fierce patriotism to its refusal to be defined by anyone else. Georgia did not simply endure history. It absorbed it, survived it, and emerged with a soul that remains unmistakably its own. After centuries of survival, invasion, and resistance, Georgia chose to express its identity not through loud declarations, but through symbols quiet, powerful, and deeply meaningful. One of the first things you notice is the national flag. A white background divided by a bold red cross, with 4 smaller red crosses placed in each quadrant. Simple at first glance, yet heavy with history. This 5-cross flag dates back to the Middle Ages, when it was flown by Georgian kingdoms as a symbol of faith, unity, and endurance. Many believe the 5 crosses represent the 5 holy wounds of Christ, reflecting Georgia's deep connection to Orthodox Christianity. When modern Georgia reclaimed this flag, it wasn't just choosing a design, it was reclaiming a memory, a statement that its past still lives in the present. Now here's where things get fun. Imagine walking through the streets of Tbilisi and suddenly realizing you can't read anything. Street signs, shop names, menus, all written in a script that looks like elegant loops and flowing symbols. Welcome to the Georgian alphabet. It is completely unique, unrelated to Latin, Cyrillic, or Arabic scripts. For first-time visitors, it feels like stepping into a coded world. Let me ask you something. If you saw this alphabet for the first time, would you even know where to start? Most people don't, and that's part of the charm. The Georgian language evolved independently, protected by mountains and history. It survived empires that tried to reshape it, and today, it stands as one of the strongest markers of national identity. In daily life, Georgian is essential. Russian is also widely spoken, especially among older generations. English, helpful in tourist areas? Yes, but outside of that bubble, it quickly fades. Taxi drivers, local markets, everyday conversations, Georgian and Russian still rule. But don't worry, Georgia doesn't leave visitors completely lost. Many signs are bilingual, written in both Georgian and English. It's as if the country is saying, "You are welcome here, but this is still our world." And that balance is fascinating. A nation that opens its doors to outsiders, yet proudly keeps its language, symbols, and voice intact. Watching Georgia speak, write, and represent itself is not just informative, it's genuinely enjoyable, because every symbol, every letter, feels like a small invitation to look closer, smile, and try to understand a little more. After understanding Georgia's symbols and language, the next layer reveals itself through its people. The faces you pass on the streets, the voices you hear in cafes, and the shifting crowd that quietly tells a much bigger story. Today, ethnic Georgians make up roughly 87% of the country's population. This majority has allowed national identity to remain strong, visible, and deeply rooted in everyday life. Physically, Georgians are often easy to recognize. Many have sharp facial features, pronounced cheekbones, strong jaws, and especially high, well-defined noses. Fair to light skin tones are common, with dark or chestnut hair dominating. These features reflect centuries of Caucasus heritage, shaped by both geography and history. Walk through the streets of Tbilisi, and you begin to notice how distinct Georgian faces are compared to their Slavic neighbors. But in recent years, the human landscape of Georgia has changed rapidly. Following the war in Ukraine, large numbers of Russians and Ukrainians moved into the country, especially into Tbilisi and Batumi. Suddenly, cafes filled with Russian conversations, co-working spaces overflowed, and entire neighborhoods felt transformed almost overnight. Blonde hair, lighter eyes, and Slavic accents became common sights and sounds in the capital. This migration has not gone unnoticed or unquestioned. In central Tbilisi, particularly around Freedom Square, anti-Russian protests have become a regular occurrence. Ukrainian flags wave alongside Georgian and European Union flags, while walls display slogans condemning war and aggression. These demonstrations are often peaceful but emotionally charged, reflecting Georgia's own painful history with Russian influence. What makes this moment so striking is the contrast. On one hand, Georgia remains welcoming to newcomers, offering safety, opportunity, and relative freedom. On the other, the streets openly express resistance, memory, and fear of repeating history. It is a rare place where hospitality and protest exist side by side. Watching this unfold as a visitor is powerful. You are not just observing a destination, you are witnessing a living society in motion. Georgia's people, both native and newly arrived, form a complex human mosaic. And within that mosaic lies the true pulse of the country. Proud, alert, emotional, and deeply aware that identity is something to be protected, not taken for granted. After seeing Georgia's people and the powerful social changes shaping its streets, something else becomes impossible to ignore: the country's energy. Not political, not historical, but human. Georgia does not express its soul quietly. It dances it out, right in front of you. Georgians are widely known for their warmth and hospitality, especially toward visitors. Conversations begin easily, smiles come naturally, and help is often offered before it is even requested. There is a strong belief here that guests are a blessing, and that welcoming outsiders is part of cultural pride. This openness becomes even more striking when you remember the tensions and protests unfolding just blocks away. Despite everything, daily life remains vibrant and social. Nowhere is this spirit more visible than in the streets of Tbilisi at night. As the city lights glow, groups of young people suddenly gather in squares, near metro stations, or along busy avenues, and without warning, the music starts. Caucasus dances erupt into motion. Sharp footwork, lightning-fast spins, powerful jumps, and dramatic pauses take over the space. The tempo is intense, the movements precise, and the atmosphere electric. These dances are not casual entertainment. They are performances filled with discipline, pride, and emotion. Each movement tells a story of strength, honor, and resilience, qualities deeply tied to Georgian identity. The dancers' posture is upright, their expressions focused, almost fierce. Watching them feels less like observing a street show and more like witnessing a living tradition, refusing to fade. What makes this even more fascinating is who performs them. Mostly young Georgians, students, friends, everyday people choosing to carry their culture into modern city life. In a capital filled with foreign languages, migration, and global influences, these dances become a statement. This is who we are. The crowd always grows. Locals stop. Tourists pull out their phones. Applause breaks out when the final move lands. And for a brief moment, differences disappear. Everyone is united by rhythm and awe. These dances reveal something essential about Georgia. This is a country that remembers its past, not only through books or monuments, but through movement and sound. A nation that turns identity into performance and culture into celebration. In Georgia, pride does not shout, it dances. After the music fades and the dances end, Georgia reveals another side of itself, everyday life. And this is where things become unexpectedly fascinating. Because living in Georgia often feels like stepping into a world where logic follows its own rules. Let's start with money. Georgia is one of the most affordable countries in the region. Despite an average monthly income of around 800 to 900 euros, the purchasing power is surprisingly high. Food, transportation, and basic needs remain accessible, especially because Georgia is largely agricultural. Fresh fruits, vegetables, bread, and local products are cheap and widely available. Life here may not be luxurious, but it is manageable and, for many, comfortable. Now look at the streets. One of the first things visitors notice is the cars. Mercedes and Lexus are everywhere. Luxury brands dominate traffic in a country with modest wages, creating an almost surreal contrast. But then you notice something even stranger. Many cars are missing their bumpers. And yes, they are still driving legally. In Georgia, cosmetic damage is largely ignored by traffic police. Replacing a bumper is expensive, and many locals simply don't see the point. Function matters more than appearance. Transportation adds another layer of chaos. Taxis in Georgia do not use meters. Every ride is a negotiation. You show the destination, agree on a price, and hope for fairness. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Intercity minibuses, known for their aggressive driving and poor conditions, are best avoided if you value comfort or safety. Then, there are the street dogs. Thousands of them roam freely in cities like Tbilisi. They are generally calm and non-aggressive, but they are everywhere. You learn to watch where you step. It becomes part of daily awareness. All of this may sound chaotic, and it is. But strangely, it works. Life flows. People adapt. The system survives. Now, let me ask you something. Would you feel comfortable living in a place like this? Or does this unpredictability make Georgia even more intriguing to you? If you're enjoying these real, unfiltered insights into life in Georgia, like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. Because next, we'll explore how tourism, casinos, and entertainment fuel this unique economy, and how Georgia turns chaos into opportunity. After witnessing the chaos, contradictions, and raw reality of daily life, one question naturally follows. How does Georgia keep its economy moving? The answer reveals itself most clearly in Tbilisi, a city designed not just to function, but to perform. Tourism is one of Georgia's strongest economic engines, and casinos sit right at its core. With gambling taxes set at only 10 to 15%, far lower than in many Western countries, Georgia has positioned itself as a magnet for international casino lovers. Money that would be taxed heavily elsewhere flows freely here, turning gambling into a powerful source of national income. Elegant casino entrances, sharply dressed staff, and glowing lights welcome visitors every night, especially in Tbilisi and Batumi. But Georgia doesn't rely on casinos alone. The city itself becomes an experience. Walk through central Tbilisi and you are constantly offered tours, city walks, mountain trips, wine routes, cultural excursions. Street musicians perform beside bridges, asking for donations while filling the air with music. Every corner feels alive, intentional, and ready to engage you. The Kura River, which divides the capital, is not just scenery, it's a stage. Boat tours glide beneath illuminated bridges, offering a slow, cinematic view of the city for a modest price. Above the river, cable cars quietly carry visitors to panoramic viewpoints for just a few euros, proving that memorable experiences here don't need to be expensive. And then there are the surprises. Hot air balloons rise above the city, offering a rare aerial perspective of old neighborhoods and modern glass structures below. Double-decker city tour buses roll through the streets, while open-sided tourist cars cruise past historic districts. Whether by land, water, or air, Georgia finds a way to show itself. What makes this remarkable is not luxury, it's effort. Tbilisi feels like a city that refuses to be still. It adapts, entertains, and reinvents itself daily for those who arrive. So let me ask you, if a city works this hard to welcome you, wouldn't you want to see it for yourself? If this journey through Georgia is opening new perspectives for you, leave a comment, share the video, and stay subscribed. Because the story doesn't end here, and Georgia still has more surprises waiting just beyond the next corner. Before you go, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. If Georgia surprised you, stay with us. The next journey is already waiting.